Good afternoon, it's Thursday, September 6. I'm Milton Walker with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. More concerns have been raised by some groups about the number of abortions being performed in the island. Abortion is illegal in Jamaica. However, many abortions are still being done. It was a major focus for members of the Lawyers Christian Fellowship and religious leaders at a campaign launch recently called Time for Life. TVJ's OSHANE Masters reports.
Are we going to put convenience over life?
That question from immediate past president of the Lawyers Christian Fellowship, Shirley Richards. She contends that the reasons provided for abortion in these modern days are not justifiable. But the issue of abortion has been a hot topic over the years. Opposition spokesperson on health, Dr. Dayton Campbell, in May 2014, had called for the legalization of abortion. He had argued that the current illegal status of abortion in all circumstances exposes women to stigma and discrimination when they are faced with this choice. Dr. Campbell also pointed out that women should have all options available to them and be provided.
Okay, we apologize. We had some problems with that report. A 13-year-old student of the Mushet High School was among 3 persons shot and injured in the town of Falmouth, TRELAWNY this morning. The police say the injuries are not life-threatening. The incident occurred about 6:25. TVJ News understands that persons were standing on Market Street when a man walked up and opened gunfire at a man. The boy and another man were standing nearby were also shot. No motive has been established for the attack. Head of the TRELAWNY Police, Superintendent DWIGHT POWELL, is asking anyone with information on the shooting to provide the police with information that may assist in the case. In the meantime, the superintendent notes that there has been a reduction in the number of shootings in the parish.
The categories of major crime that we're still having some concern with 3 categories, to include murder. We are seeing a slight uptick in terms of the murders happening in TRELAWNY. So whereas last year we recorded 15 murders at this time, we are at 19 for this time. We are looking at the areas that may be fueling the violence in the parish, and we are showing the citizens that we are on top of our game as it relates to law enforcement.
Minister of State in the Ministry of National Security, Roddy Spencer, says a new path project has been positively impacting more than 1,500 youths. The project, which was implemented 3 years ago, seeks to transform youth who are in remand centres and state care facilities. The junior minister said an additional 800 girls and boys have successfully completed the program and have been certified in a number of vocational subjects. He added that the skills taught in the project will make the participants more marketable when they leave the penal system. Mr. Spencer was speaking at the relaunch of the reintegration curriculum and opening of renovated classrooms at the Rio Cobre Juvenile Correctional Centre in Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Tuesday. The project, which is scheduled to end in September next year, offers and facilitates weekly counselling, training, conflict resolution programs, as well as opportunities for apprenticeship. Taxi operators will once again make an appeal to the Transport Minister for an increase in taxi fares. According to the Jamaica Association of Transport Owners and Operators, it's unfair for the taxi operators to be paying more for fuel without any increase in fares over the last 5 years. TVJ's OSHANE Masters reports.
The Jamaica Association of Transport Owners and Operators, JATU, says it will be submitting by the end of this month its formal request for taxi fares to be doubled. JATU first announced its intention early last month. President of the association, Louis Barton, says it has not submitted a formal request as yet because it has been holding consultations on a new element to be included in the proposal.
In addition to the fare increase, as I said, we are also asking for like an indexing of the fare, right? So we have to do our calculation. We have to consult with some of our members in the rural areas and say how will that affect them. So we haven't put in a formal request, but we are saying that we will be asking for a formal request and something concrete in the very near future.
Mr. Barton says the last time transport operators received a fare adjustment was 2013, when the average price of gas was $80 per litre. The price of gas is now more than $170 per litre. He says that's why taxi and bus operators want a 100% fare hike.
We know that the commuting public is very hard on them to even hear about a 100% increase. Very hard. But the public have to look at our situation. Transport operators have not had a fare increase from 2013. That is 5 years ago. And at that time, we didn't get what we were asking for. So the bad driving, the ill-mannered behavior on the road of transport operators is not because they are bad people. It's because they are trying to make up for the situation.
OSHANE Masters, TVJ News.
Over 650 high school students will benefit from a tourism-based training program beginning at the end of September. The Hospitality and Tourism Management Program is a collaborative effort between the Ministries of Tourism and Education and will roll out in 32 high schools across the island. Upon completion, the students will receive the American Hotel and Lodging Education Institute certification, which will allow them to work in the hospitality industry in America. The minister gave the details at a Ministry of Tourism briefing on Wednesday.
This is the time that the collaboration between tourism and education must come to fruition. And so the TEF has made an allocation of $100 million for us to develop with them a curriculum for the first cohort of high school students who will be involved in a 2-year training program for certification in hospitality management. And the course will be called the Hospitality and Tourism.
And we go back to an earlier story. More concerns have been raised by some groups about the number of abortions being performed in the island. Abortion is illegal in Jamaica. However, many abortions are still being done. It was the major focus for members of the Lawyers Christian Fellowship and religious leaders who launched a campaign recently called Time for Life.
Are we going to put convenience over life?
That question from immediate past president of the Lawyers Christian Fellowship, Shirley Richards. She contends that the reasons provided for abortion in these modern days are not justifiable. But the issue of abortion has been a hot topic over the years. Opposition spokesperson on health, Dr. Dayton Campbell, in May 2014, had called for the legalization of abortion. He had argued that the current illegal status of abortion in all circumstances exposes women to stigma and discrimination when they are faced with this choice. Dr. Campbell also pointed out that women should have all options available to them and be provided with the necessary information instead of being persecuted.
The state has a responsibility to ensure that the rights of all citizens are protected. The current illegal status of abortion in all circumstances exposes women to stigma and discrimination when they are faced with the choice. Women should not be punished for what is a difficult decision about their body, life, and future. It is a misuse of government power to take that right from them.
In June, Member of Parliament for West Rural St. Andrew, Juliet CUTHBERT-FLYNN, brought a motion to Gordon House to decriminalize abortion.
Be it resolved that this Honourable House considers the recommendation of the Abortion Policy Group, which was established to provide guidance to allow women the right to choose.
But the Lawyers Christian Fellowship is not in agreement.
Abortion supporters often use the argument that a woman has a right over her body and a right of freedom of choice. In this respect, I want to remind us of the words of the late Professor Ralph Carnegie, Cave Hill, Barbados. He said in this respect, the value of freedom to do what is convenient is basically being placed above the potential risk to the value of respect for human life.
A baby is not a part of a mother's body. It is an individual with a separate body. It is a separate life.
Mr. Garth further contends that it is criminal for abortion to be carried out. He explained his stance.
If we assume that life begins at conception, then, to put it bluntly, abortion is murder.
The World Health Organization had reported that over 22,000 abortions are performed in Jamaica on an annual basis, with complications arising from unsafe abortions being among the top 10 causes of maternal death. In Jamaica, Section 72 and 73 of the Offences Against the Persons Act, it is a criminal offense to terminate a pregnancy, and a person who has a procedure, quote, shall be liable to be imprisoned for life with or without hard labor, end quote. It also criminalizes medical professionals who facilitate a woman's exercise of choice to have her pregnancy terminated, and the parents and guardians who facilitate termination of pregnancies of girls under the age of 18. However, abortion is allowed if the mother's life is in danger. OSHANE Masters, TVJ News.
Minister of Agriculture Audley Shaw has promised sugar farmers from Clarendon and St. Catherine that their 2019 crop will not be allowed to go to waste. His assurance comes at a worrying time for these farmers, particularly because of the uncertainty surrounding the Money Musk sugar factory in Clarendon. Operators Pan-Caribbean have indicated that they do not intend to run the plant next year because of persistent production problems. Mr. Shaw explained that several backup plans are in place should the plant not reopen for the 2019 crop.
Grow your sugarcane, we are going to take the crop off. The very extreme measure, if it has to get to that, but it doesn't have to get to that. If Money Musk does not open for operations in the 2019 crop, then we are simply going to have to arrange to transport that crop to Worthy Park and to Appleton.
The opposition People's National Party, the PNP, says it has been preparing for the calling of any election. Speaking at a media launch for the PNP's annual conference, which will be held next weekend, PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson says the party has been prioritizing and modernizing its operations both internally and externally over the last 2 years.
A candidate selection exercise, and we have identified a number of critical constituencies that we need to ensure that we have candidates in place, and have candidates in place at a very early stage so that candidates can get to know their constituents, their workers, and be in the seat well in advance of any election. And we are making steady and good progress along those lines. Our second priority, as we have already indicated, has been to articulate our policy platform.
In sports, Jamaica's team to the Pan American Gymnastics Championship may be shortened as the camp has been hit by injury just weeks before the start. Renaldo Brown reports.
The stage was set for Jamaica's darling of the sport, Tonian Williams, to make a return to national representation for the first time since the 2016 Olympic Games. Since then, the US-based gymnast has been missing from the national program due to injury. However, the Jamaica Amateur Gymnastics Association, JAGA, was hoping the September 10 to 17 event would mark her return, but once again, it's looking unlikely.
She is injured and she may not be competing at the PANAM Championships. We're just hoping that she will be well enough to do something, because at this point it's really a qualification of the teams as well as individuals, of course.
But Tonian is not the only injury hit for Jamaica.
And Maya, who is also another member of our team, she got injured recently and she will definitely be out, and that is really a blow to us because Maya, who is Tonian's sister, she's a very strong gymnast and we really wanted to see what she had to offer.
But despite the injury concerns on the women's side, Grant Brown is still confident of doing well.
However, we also have the Nushan. We're excited to have her back. She has been out since 2016 and we are looking forward to a good performance from her. We also have new blood in our team, Mackenzie and Kiara, and they were at the training camp in Dumrep earlier last month. And we're very pleased to know that they are gelling and they are ready to go.
There are no injury concerns for the men's team, which will once again be led by Reese Beckford. Caleb Falk, Stephen Lewis, and Nicholas Ty completes that team, with the latter looking to fly the flag for the locally trained gymnast.
I'm more confident than I was like last year and the year before, you know, because each competition we do, we get more exposure and we get more confident in every routine that we do. So every time we execute that routine, we look back at the mistakes and we come back stronger.
The Pan American Championships will serve as a qualifier for the 2019 Pan American Games. Renata Brown for TVJ Sports.
And that's the midday news. I'm Milton Walker. Join us at 7 for primetime news on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.